Leah always wanted to win, no matter the cost. Even in small arguments, she needed the last word, something sharp enough to prove her point. That evening, frustration got the better of her. Her tone grew harsher, her words faster, until one sentence slipped out before she could stop herself. "You argue too much for a man. No wonder you're lacking in that area." The moment it left her lips, everything shifted. The air between them seemed to cave in, not explode. Marcus didn't shout or fire back with the same cruelty. He just froze, his jaw tightening, his fist curling ever so slightly, his eyes darkening with something heavier than rage. It wasn't anger that held him still. It was humiliation, a wound splitting open that she didn't even know existed. Without a word, he turned and walked away. Leah stood in the silence, half expecting him to storm back in like he always did, ready for another round. But he didn't. The silence stretched into something jagged, cutting deeper than words ever could. That night, Marcus never came back to their bed. She thought maybe he'd slip in once she was asleep, that tomorrow they'd wake up and fall back into their usual rhythm. But in the morning, his side of the bed was untouched. An uneasy knot twisted inside her. She searched the house until she found him in the guest room, sitting stiffly at the edge of the bed, staring into nothing. He wasn't sulking, wasn't brooding. He was simply gone in some way she couldn't reach. From the doorway, she called his name. No reply. She asked why he was sleeping there, if he was still upset, if he would come back to their room. His eyes barely flicked toward her. When he did speak, his voice was soft, almost weightless, but heavier than anger. Days passed. He didn't return. If she entered a room, he left it. If she spoke, he stayed silent. If she reached for his hand, he stiffened, pulling away. This wasn't a fight anymore. It felt like the end. Desperate, Leah tried everything she could think of. She cooked his favorite meals. He ate without tasting. She left handwritten notes, small gestures of apology. He ignored them. She tried jokes, brushing against him, memories of when they were happy. Nothing worked. That was when the realization struck. She had always believed that arguments, no matter how harsh, still meant that there was something alive between them. If they were shouting, they still cared. But this silence, this void, was different. It was the sound of something already broken. She hadn't understood that her words had reached deeper than the moment. Marcus carried scars long before her. As a teenager growing up in Ohio, he had been mocked relentlessly, whispers trailing him through hallways. In high school, a cruel comment in the locker room turned into an endless rumor, eating away at him. He could still picture the look on the girl he once loved when she heard it. Cold, detached, as though he had ceased to exist in her eyes. That single moment clung to him for years. Later, in adulthood, the wound deepened. His last partner had betrayed him. He'd walked in on her with someone else. And when he demanded an explanation, she hadn't cried or begged. She'd only shrugged and said the words that would haunt him. "You're not enough for me." From that day, Marcus built walls around his pain, hiding it so well he convinced himself he was fine. Then came Leah. With her, he felt seen, whole enough. He believed the past had finally lost its grip. Until that night. "You argue too much for someone who's hardly a man. No wonder you're lacking." One careless sentence shattered it all. Suddenly, Marcus was back in those echoing halls, back in that betrayal. Only this time, the wound came from the one person he trusted most. For the first time since their marriage began, He wondered if he could ever look at her the same way again. Leah held on to the hope that time would fix it. But with every day that passed, Marcus pulled further away. One evening, she walked into the guest room, determined to try again. He wasn't there. The sound of the shower filled the silence, but his phone lay lit on the bed. She never snooped, but her eyes caught the words on the screen. Subject: initiating divorce proceedings. Her breath caught. Divorce. She told herself it was a mistake, but deep down she already knew the truth. When Marcus emerged, she asked softly, "Are you really thinking of ending our marriage over one fight?" For the first time in weeks, his eyes met hers. There was no fury, no heartbreak, only emptiness. His voice was steady. "You think this is just about that night?" And then she understood. It wasn't only her cruel remark. It was everything. His past, his pain, the distance they had both ignored. That night had simply been the breaking point. Desperation drove her. She poured everything into trying to fix it. She apologized in words and actions, small efforts to reach him, to remind him of what they once shared. He responded with short, hollow replies. His silence was its own answer. Did he still want to stay? She didn't need him to say it. His absence was loud enough. She had always believed regret could be undone, that love could patch over mistakes. But some wounds ran too deep. One night, she found him packing. A suitcase lay open, clothes neatly folded inside. Panic surged. "Are you really leaving?" she whispered. Marcus didn't look at her right away. He exhaled, hands resting on the suitcase, then finally turned. His tone was steady, but carried the truth she feared. "I don't know if I can get past this." Those words struck harder than rage ever could. Tears welled in her eyes as her pride crumbled. "I love you," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I made a mistake. I wish I could take it back. Just tell me what to do." For the first time in weeks, something flickered in his expression. Not emptiness, but hesitation, conflict. He paused, then spoke quietly. "You can't unsay what you said, and I can't unhear it." Her heart sank, but then he added, "Maybe I'm not ready to leave. Not yet." It wasn't forgiveness, it wasn't a promise, but it was something. That night, Marcus stayed, though the distance lingered. The scars would remain, and the road to healing would be long. Leah understood now that love wasn't about winning arguments. It was about surviving the wounds they left behind. Whether theirs could survive, only time would tell.